Shabbat Shalom. My teacher, Rabbi Dr. Rachel Adler, once taught me something that changed the way I look at my own life. She's a brilliant feminist theologian and Jewish philosopher, but for me, she was also a close mentor. I had Seder at her house. We studied Talmud Brachot one-on-one in her living room. By the way, she also, this is completely unrelated to my sermon, but she also introduced the idea that during Karpas at Seder, that you should have roasted vegetable course and or salads and serve a good vegetable sustenance during Karpas. She also taught me that we're inheritors of and obligated to a covenant with God. Specifically, that covenant is actually stronger because of what happened at Mount Sinai. It's stronger because the first tablets were shattered when Moses saw the golden calf and then forged a second time. That's the core of my message tonight, that the God who gives second tablets is the God who gives second chances. It's easy to define people or ourselves by our worst mistakes, but Judaism resists that emphatically. It asks us to look at the process of teshuvah, repentance. Maimonides teaches that if you face the same temptation again and choose differently, that's the mark of a transformed life. Our tradition goes even further. In the place where someone has truly repented and changed, even the perfectly righteous cannot stand. That person has done the hard work of repair, and that makes them on spiritually higher ground, so to speak. Now, this doesn't mean we owe everyone endless chances. We see the flip side of Pharaoh, who became so entrenched in his choices that he couldn't imagine choosing differently. Sin left unchecked becomes a habit. But this week, we're looking for a different path. We just finished Tisha B'Av. That was Wednesday night and Thursday, the darkest day in our calendar. And today is Shabbat Nachamu, the Sabbath of comfort, of hope. We're commanded to feel hope, just as we're commanded to love God. And we're starting that 7-week journey toward the High Holy Days. Appropriately, our Torah portion of Et Hanan brings us back to the very scene at Sinai. Moses is furious. The people are worshiping an idol. He doesn't know what to do. He lets the tablets fall and shatter. When he appeals to God, God says, "Let me alone." But Moses hears an invitation in those words to intercede. He prays, according to Talmud Brachot, appealing to the 13 attributes of God's mercy that we still use today as a formula to appeal to God's compassion during the Chagim. And God responds not with destruction, but with forgiveness. Moshe also does something else. According to Talmud Brachot, the sages of the school of Rabbi Yanai said that Moshe said before the Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono shel olam, master of the universe, because of the silver and zahav, gold, that you heaped upon Israel until they said, "Die, enough," this is what caused them to make the golden calf. In other words, if God perhaps hadn't given Bnei Yisrael so much gold and silver from the Egyptians, then Bnei Yisrael would never have used the gold and silver to make idols. Moshe's commitment to the Jewish people and their preservation is his top motivation. And that's the reason why he prioritizes the people instead of the tablets in that moment of these two things can't exist at once, this idolatry and the first two commandments that I'm holding in my hand. And it's also the reason why he intercedes in this way. And what commitment? Moshe goes so far as to remind God that God is responsible and shares in the blame of the catastrophe of the golden calf. None of us is an island. Each of our actions has ripple effects on others. Between pleading for forgiveness and reminding God that God too may have made a mistake, the covenant is repaired. So I want to leave you with a few questions today. First, when has someone extended you grace, even if you didn't fully deserve it? Second, when have you looked past someone else's worst mistake and seen their capacity to change? When have you extended the benefit of the doubt to someone, as Pirkei Avot commands us to do? And conversely, when did you blame someone else for something that really, at least partially, is your own shared responsibility? And finally, perhaps the hardest one, how do you forgive yourself and move on after you've done the hard work of teshuvah? Judaism asks us to change. It asks us to be more honest, more compassionate, more faithful. But it does not ask us to live in shame. It insists, our tradition insists, that growth is possible. When we repair ourselves to kun hanefesh, we repair our relationships with others and eventually our relationship with God. As Rabbi Adler used to say, scar tissue is often stronger than what was there before. May we all have the courage to seek this kind of healing. May you have weeks of comfort knowing that brokenness is not the end of the story. It's just the place where an even stronger relationship can begin. Shabbat Shalom.